Hey, what's up my ninjas? Shinobi here with another Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls video for you. Today I want to talk about the monk and some of the changes that have happened with the monk, kind of my whole feeling about the monk right now, and kind of go over a spec that I've been using right now and why I'm using the spec and why I can see it being a very good spec later on once gear gets upgraded and some of the calculations that I've done as well. So right now you're watching some gameplay of me going through normal difficulty using this Tempest Rush spec. Now the reason I'm doing normal difficulty is because this character is a fresh level 70, mostly wearing rare gear, nothing too crazy, nothing too extravagant or anything like that. And also right now doing bounties and collecting the bags on normal difficulty is just so fast and so efficient, and you still get quite a few legendaries doing that. To get the best items in the game, yes, you do want to do torment difficulty, but for a fresh level 70, normal difficulty seems to be the way to go. Most players are doing that right now in the expansion. I personally don't enjoy doing it like that. I wish that it wasn't that way, but maybe Blizzard will make some changes in the future. I have talked about this in the past, that they have been, you know, it feels like we're kind of forced to play normal difficulty because it's the most efficient, and if it's not efficient, it's not worth doing, and that's pretty much how it's always been in Diablo 3. So this spec with Tempest Rush, it's a good balanced build, which really utilizes a couple abilities. Obviously, it utilizes Tempest Rush. You want to be as fast as possible. You want to be moving through this stuff really quickly. By myself, I can complete 5 bounties to get a bag in probably less than 5 minutes, just going through, killing tons of stuff. There are some RNG involved, but I mean, if you get a bunch of other people doing the exact same thing, I feel like it's a really fast way to get a lot of bounties completed, get a lot of gear, and that's what I've been doing. Just last night when I was on the stream, I found between 4 or 5 legendaries just in like the course of an hour or maybe 40 minutes or so. And that's on a really low difficulty too. Imagine if you were doing this on Torment. And that's one thing I've talked about on the stream, is that when people ask me, why are you doing this right now? And it's kind of the way that I have always done gear even in the beginning of Diablo 3. I find specs that have potential to be really great when you add the right gear to them. For instance, right now I have about 500k DPS on my monk. With the little calculations that I put together, I would need around 2 to 2.5 million DPS to be able to do it just as efficient on Torment difficulty. Now, I'm going to go over some of the abilities in just a second for you, but you can see just how much I plow through monsters in this difficulty and how quickly I can just kill things. Most of the time you have to kill, a named guy and then kill 50 monsters. And, when you pop your cooldowns, you're really just blowing through the monsters and just destroying everything and going really quickly throughout it. So there are some other specs that I'm going to mess around with the monk, and this may not be the best spec out there, but with some more testing and some better gear, I really would love to see the full potential of this spec. Alright, so now we're in the game here, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at some of the abilities that I'm using here, why I chose to use those abilities, and what's so special about all of them. So first off, I want to go over just the normal skills. Use the primary, Wave of 100 Fists for Blazing Fist for faster attack speed, and also increases my movement speed for 5 seconds. So in the situation that I run out of spirit or I need to single target something down because it would just be faster, Wave of 100 Fists does help out with that. And then after I kill that, I have a little burst of speed right after. It's all about moving really quickly with the spec, and that's why I use this ability. And it does pretty good damage, as you've seen in the video clip. Then we also have here Tempest Rush, which we knew we were going to be using this. I use the thing on here, which actually gives me 25% increased movement speed. That's very important for doing this very quickly. If you're on maybe a harder difficulty, you might switch that up because you're going to need to, do more damage to monsters and such. There is one that, you reduce damage taken. I don't know if that's really going to be something that's so great. You can also reduce the channeling cost as well too, which I think is a pretty viable thing, and also increases the damage to 343, which is something you might want to do. But I'm going for just the quickest, most efficient, fast moving. You can see that I just tear through things to begin with. Then we also have here Epiphany. Now Epiphany is as you guys have seen, I showed a BlizzCon thing for it. It's pretty much like the Wrath of the Berserker, but for the monk. But I mean, obviously a 90-second cooldown is quite a big cooldown, so you're going to need a lot of reduced cooldown stuff to make this spec really good. If you can get to the point, like I don't know all the legendaries that are in their game yet because I need to find them all, but if there were legendaries that could reduce your cooldowns drastically and make this almost, I mean, it lasts for 15 seconds. So if you could get this down to a 15-second cooldown or 20-second cooldown, something like that, you'd almost be using this all the time, and that would just be amazing. You would be plowing through stuff. This spec would be the new Whirlwind Barb of Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls. But, for right now, I still got to mess around with stuff and see if I can pull something together. But the one that I'm using right now is just the inner fire one that does damage around you. Just because the other ones, there's none here that actually reduce the cooldown for you. There's some that stun and, some that reduce damage taken and stuff. But, I just go out for the damage there just to be most efficient in that situation. And, it is pretty crazy. You're shooting out all those things, like attacking everywhere. Like you got like the seven-sided strikes that like fly everywhere and like kill things. You can see in like the gameplay that I showed you. It's crazy damage, and it's just really awesome. And also you have like crazy spirit regen while it's going on too. So you're able to just hold down Tempest Rush and not have to worry about spirit whatsoever. I also use dashing strike here with the rune here that gives you increased movement speed for 3 seconds after using dashing strike. Sometimes you're not in an area where it makes sense to, if you have Tempest Rush and it does make you move quicker, most of the time you're going to use that to run through areas you need to go to. But if there's no monsters around you, it makes a lot of sense to use dashing strike because it doesn't cost anything. It just has charges on it, and you just charge ahead, get to the area you got to go. It's just much quicker, really fast-paced movement. So that's one thing I've been liking about the monk too, is it feels like it's just a faster class now, and it feels like, I mean, some of these abilities were in the game before, but some of the stuff that they've added into the game really makes the monk just seem like, just bebops around everywhere, and that's pretty cool, pretty exciting. So, and then we also have here the Mystic Ally. Now they did change the allies just like they changed the companions for the Demon Hunter. They now have like these cooldowns with an activated ability and a passive ability. Now obviously you have all different kind of element ones here. The one that I'm using is the Air Ally, which gives you spirit regen by 2, which is pretty nice, and also the Activate, which gives you 100 spirit, which is really great. If you're getting low on spirit because you've been using Tempest Rush a lot, you can pop that and go for a lot longer. And also, because this is a cooldown, if you go with a lot of cooldown reduction, you can pretty much have infinite spirit all the time, just based off of the things that I've done. And I almost never run out of spirit with this build. So, it definitely helps out a lot. And it does decent damage. The Mystic Ally runs around. It has like a kind of like this ability that we used to use a lot before. Like Sweeping Wind. It has like a Sweeping Wind that goes around it. It does like AoE damage, and it also does direct damage, and it moves really quickly too to help you out. So it definitely works out for this. Now, Mantra of Healing, you could go with Mantra of Conviction, but Mantra of Healing, the reason I'm using this is because it gives me 3 spirit per second, which is really nice. Helps out with me being able to hold down right click as long as I want to. But Mantra Conviction was nerfed overall, does way less damage now. But it's still, I mean, adding X% damage to your character, especially when under geared, is a very big concept and very good for helping you far more efficiently. But for me, I feel like I'd rather have the spirit. I do a decent enough amount of damage to begin with, so I'm okay with that. So now let's look at the passive abilities here. We have Exalted Soul, which increase maximum spirit by 100 and regeneration by 2. This is something that we've seen before, but it works well with the spec. With more legendaries and more gear that I find in the future, you're going to need less and less of these things because you're going to be able to get that from your gear, right? So Momentum here. Moving 30 yards increases your damage by 15% for 4 seconds, which is really great. You're moving a lot. You're using Tempest Rush. You're always moving places. So just increased damage, nothing wrong with that. Got fleet-footed, some more increased damage there for you. I mean, increased movement speed for you. We're moving a lot quicker, so obviously fleet-footed would be something a no-brainer. And I use Beacon of Utar because Utar, I think it's called, reduced cooldown by 20%, which is nice. I do like that. So it does bring down your cooldown quite a bit for you there. And then also in my Paragon, I also go through and get movement speed here, so I make sure I'm capped out, get the remainder in dexterity. Now this gives you a maximum spirit right here. Now this is something that I don't agree with that Blizzard did. Maximum spirit is great, but I would rather have spirit regeneration in this point than maximum spirit, because if you got to give up dexterity or movement speed, spirit regeneration is much better than maximum spirit. You know, considering you can only do this up to 50 times, which is only going to give you a maximum of 50 extra, and I have 250 right now, it's not going to make that big of an impact. I'd rather have spirit regen, so maybe it's something they could switch out before the game goes live. We also have cooldown reduction, so kind of a no-brainer, trying to get the cooldowns even more and more lower so I can keep using these abilities over and over again. Defensively, I just want to resist all. It's just the best one of the 4. Just plain and simple. Unless you're going with a specific like armor build or a build that just has a lot of life or something. I mean, 195 resist all is a huge amount for my current Paragon level. And utility, go with reduce cost reduction. So this actually helps out with Tempest Rush because it doesn't cost quite as much for me to channel it. You know, so it does help out there. Every little bit does help out. You can see after I have all this stuff activated here and I'm going through, you know, it takes quite a while for my spirit to go down. I mean, I can hold this for quite a long time. So, you know, in the amount of time that it takes it for it to go all the way down, I could just go pop it back up, go back up to full again, and while I'm waiting for that to come back down, use my Mystic Ally again, because I have the reduced cooldown, and because it, you know, I have, you know, a lot of spirit regen going on, and this is only in rare gear. In legendary gear, you're gonna have a lot more spirit regen, like we saw with the Ina set before. You know, having that spirit regen, which is really good. So you can see, oh, and now it's activated again, and I can go again. So I can do this infinitely if I want to. And then you have the Epiphany here, which just, boom, you pop that, and you're just flying through, and you see my spirit's not even moving whatsoever. You're going through, and you're destroying things, and, you know, you can't see it right now because there's no monsters around me, but you saw it in the previous video clip, the stuff just flying everywhere, and because they're moving so quickly, you're just plowing through stuff at such a fast pace, so it makes the spec really good. You can see the gear that I'm currently wearing here. You can see that my damage is only 555,000, that's with momentum as well on too. So only about 500,000, and I'm able to clear normal difficulty really well. In normal difficulty, the way that it pretty much scales in the difficulties is you have normal, hard, expert, master, torment. So usually the monster's health will double while scaling up. In most cases, it doubles more when it gets up to the higher parts of difficulty. So, you know, if I can do this really easily with 400, let's say 500,000 damage right now, so on expert, I would have to have probably around 800 to 900,000 to do it just as efficiently. On hard, on hard, and then on expert, I'd probably have to have around 1.4 million, something like that. On master, I'd have to have around 2 million, and on torment, I'd probably have to have around 2.5 million, something like that, to be able to do this just as efficient. The only one that's going to happen is with a lot of legendaries, a lot of really good items that are going to boost my damage and also boost my effective DPS. So I'm just using, you know, normal rares in just all these areas, nothing too exciting, nothing too amazing. You can see that these are just the gems that I'm using, and just the normal basic way to build your character in rare gear. And this is the weapon that I'm using, which I've been trying to reroll the damage on that. It does cap out at 1788, so that'll help out with damage as well too. But I found a couple items yesterday as well. I found the Burning Axe of Sunkiss, which is something we've seen before. It has a chance to fight through the pain when enemies hit you. I believe that's like a knockback or something like that. So I might be using that in the future, might give it a try. But I mean, 26, I mean, Tempest Rush is all about the two-hander, right? So then we also found another one-hander, which is almost 2200 damage here for one hand, and it has crit damage on it, which is sweet. And it has a two-piece bonus, which gives you spirit regen, dexterity, and you hurl a ball of pure energy when attacking. So I'm waiting to get the other fist weapon, then I'm probably going to try some specs out with that. I found this as well, too, which gives me, you know, I'm probably get rid of the resist all there and pick up 100% crit damage if I can, and I got reduced resource cost on there too, and it also, when I get massacres, it summons a bunch of skeletons for me to help kill things for me. So these are some items that I need to re-roll to see if things are going to be better in the future. I also found the Shrine Bracers as well that spawn an Elite Pack, which I believe, looking up, I think they did hotfix it, so there's no more of that infinite, you know, crazy amounts of elites that would spawn. So I think that is fixed. I got a pretty crappy version of the item though, unfortunately. But, you know, still trying to farm, still trying to find some better items so that I can scale this up to harder and harder difficulties, find better and better gear, and maybe, just maybe, if we get the right gear with the right spec, I think we got the right spec. All we need is the right gear, and this could be the new Whirlwind Barb or Whirlwind Monk of Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls, because just how fluid it is, just how, you know, just how great it is. If you can get these cooldowns here, like I've already got this cooldown down to the point where it's infinite for me, but this one right here, if I can get this cooldown down to a decent amount and I can use it all the time, you'll just be flying through Torment difficulty, finding tons of items, and, you know, we'll have that feeling like we used to have with the Whirlwind Barb. Anyways, that's the video, guys. I hope you do enjoy the little preview for Monk. I'm going to come out with some more stuff for it, look into some more stuff, get some more specs, get some more gear. It's all really based off the gear, so, you know, the legendaries that you find really make up which kind of specs you're going to do. And because I found a really good two-hander that's a decent amount of damage, that's why I tried out the Tempest Rush. Anyways, thanks for the support, guys. Make sure you check out the live stream, link down in the description, where I'm testing these specs on a daily basis and getting your feedback live and answering your questions and all that kind of stuff. Anyways, I'm Shinobi, and until next time, thanks for watching.